I want to give you, for those of you who may feel that this new era of US-based think tanks is the first time we've had intervention of think tanks, I want to give you some examples of prior think tanks brought by the West. Okay, so the Asiatic Society of Calcutta, which was founded in 1784 by Sir William Jones, whose image is on the cover of my book, The Battle for Sanskrit. That was a think tank to study Indian text and Indian language and Indian society, and to try and understand India better using their own lens and be very sympathetic to India also, and so on. So that was one. But 20 years later, there was the Asiatic Society of Mumbai. Okay, it was created in 1804 by Sir James Mackintosh, who was a very famous person, well-known, powerful figure in England. And he created this, and it says, its official thing, a document says, its purpose is promoting useful knowledge, particularly concerned with contemporary India. And then it says that it forms part of a network of institutions created by the British to systematize, and disseminate knowledge of India and the Orient. So they are here from 1804, and before that 1794, with the agenda of collecting the knowledge, organizing it, systematizing it, putting in a framework, disseminating it, making policies on it. And they said that this became a vast and cumulative body of information, learning and knowledge, which became constituted into the field of Indology. So that's how Indology started, with this kind of a think tank. And it talks about, it covers many fields from anthropology, history, archaeology, linguistics, philology, natural history, philosophy, literature, politics, all the fields were covered in this. So if you go down the list, the history of Indian think tanks, you will find some amazing examples of how the British set up think tanks with a certain purpose. And they won a lot of Indians into the system. So we have to understand, we have to decide, do we want to be China? If we want to be like China, then let's see how they're managing their own think tanks, Western think tanks, how these are founded on their own grand narrative, and how they're keeping an eye, how their think tanks are also producing work on others, monitoring other people, Americans, Japanese, Indians, Europeans, they're monitoring all these people. So the think tank is a kind of watchdog. Yeah, it's in a certain sense, and because it's private, the government can say, this is a parallel thing, they're doing their own thing, and we can't interfere. U.S. government can easily say, if Heritage Foundation produces a paper, or Brookings or any of their 1,000+ think tanks produces some paper, U.S. can say this is intellectual freedom. They're just doing it. The fact of the matter is, from the U.S. State Department, there is a road going to think tanks and back, career-wise. You will see think tank people coming into State Department people going, giving talks and getting assignments there after they retire or whatever. And then think tanks go to the Ivy Leagues, especially the liberal left-wing kind of think tanks and Ivy Leagues. So you have academics and think tanks and government careers mingled. And a lot of the seminaries also involved for the Christian side of it. So this ecosystem breeds, next generation scholars, thinkers, and grooms them. You can watch them over the years. You don't have Trump is an unusual kind of person who's got no track record in any of this system and who just came out of nowhere. So you don't know what his policies are because he hasn't had them. But keeping that aside, generally you can track a person's record. A person who does not just pop out of nowhere. They have gone through this kind of a very elaborate ecosystem, and you can see what they wrote, what books they wrote, what position they had, how they voted, how they recommended. And so this is how the U.S. democracy works. And media respect all this. So when media are looking for an expert, they go to these kind of people and quote them and so on. In India, we do not, because there's a vacuum of think tanks, and therefore the policy makers are just sort of very short-sighted, the government and ministers probably running their own little think tank in-house, and media don't do much thinking. They just sort of try to, make some sensational noises here and there. So this is a real serious problem I see. I think a culture and a cottage industry of good solid think tanks, not numerically, but very, very high quality, would be very important in India. And I will close by saying we must have a strategy on how to engage the United States as a friend. And part of everything I've said is how you make friends with Americans. Believe me, I have fantastic friends with Americans, both in my corporate and professional life and as an individual. And it's always with the clarity that we are equals. I respect you. You should respect me. This is who I am. And the way we may have some differences, we can bracket them, put them aside, and we can work on what's positive and constructive. It is not weakness. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. You're right. I have to learn from you. I'm still trying. Rather than apologetic tone, our think tanks have to teach our government people, our media people, how to be assertive with dignity in a polite, diplomatic way. Thank you for watching. I want to give you some good news and thank you in a special way. This morning, my Facebook page exceeded 250,000 followers. So we now have more than 2.5 lakh followers of my page, which is double what it was a few weeks ago. This is thanks to you, because you're watching my programs. You are asking your other friends to watch them. You are asking many other people to like the Facebook page. And I'm learning. I'm trying to turn this into more like a TV channel where I can have a weekly show, or maybe 2-3 times a week I can pick a topic and have a show. I'm getting better at it. I have still a lot to learn. This is new technology for me, but it's a lot of fun. And I'm happy to share this fun with you. So thank you very much once again. I will see you in a few days for sure.
और हमारे देश के लिए अगर सबसे बड़ी एक समाज की मन में एक आवश्यकता है, तो हमारी सोसाइटी हिस्ट्री कॉन्शियस होनी चाहिए. इतिहास को भुला देने वाली समाज व्यवस्था नहीं होनी चाहिए.